and welcome to Agenda from Bengaluru. Now, 2016 was a dramatic year for the city. We had floods, we had fish swimming in the street. Following that, we had demolition with hundreds of people losing their homes because of those floods. We had Kaveri riots, arson, buses being burnt. But what often happens in each year is what happens later is what stays in the mind. And right now, like the rest of the country, we're in the thick of demonetization, the cash crunch fallout. Tia Raghunandan, I'll come to you first. You're the advisor for the Center for Policy Research, and you've also done a lot of work on anti-corruption issues. Now, the main thrust, the main reason given for this whole demonetization was to fight corruption. Very simply, has it worked?
I think it had a surprise effect initially, but I think that that's only been a momentary effect, and the corrupt are very resourceful people, and they've probably adjusted to the new reality. And I think it's probably going on as merrily as ever. In all fairness, if this is the beginning of a war on corruption, which would comprise of several actions, which includes, in my opinion, political party accounting reforms, which is one of the most important things, campaign reforms, etc., then maybe it will have an effect.
As a first step,
as
they
a
are talking
first
about
step.
political parties as well.
But today it does not look like it is going to be the first step, simply because the government has been doing firefighting for the past 1 month. Every political party is got their hands in the corruption pipe. And corruption in India is no longer the corruption of a few freelancers. It's a networked corruption.
Institutionalized.
Yeah, it's institutionalized because you have prepaid and postpaid arrangements. I mean, you pay to become XYZ in the government, and then you pay a monthly rate. And the only difference when one political party comes in the place of another is that the address of the consignment changes. Political parties need money for 4 reasons. There's internal corruption in political parties where bribes have to be paid to get seats. Then there's a huge amount of money that is illegally spent in campaigning. Then, of course, some politicians stash away private fortunes. And the last is bribing the voters, right? And so, I mean, every party will admit to this in private.
And it's not funds that can be accounted for in any way, so
Precisely.
It has to be black.
So therefore, what you really need to do is put all political parties under the income tax net, make all political contributions cashless.
However big, however small, yes.
Cashless.
Yes.
And number 3, you put all political parties under a certified audit by the CAG. And number 4, you ensure that the election commission's rules are changed so that there are no more loopholes in how to fudge on campaign finances.
It's more loophole than rule. Harish Bijor, as a brand expert, as somebody who knows image, what has this done really for the government?
Well, first of all, we are just about emerging out of a state of financial emergency, as I would call it, because, this emergency is something that will hit every Indian home, not only the 6% corrupt Indian homes, I mean, not even homes, individuals maybe. So, to that extent, it shook the nation, stirred the nation, and the joke on the 8th of November was that, as the US was counting votes, we were counting notes. And that's really true. Seriously true, because every Indian home, there are about 21 places where an average housewife hides money, and it's an Indian ethos. It's an Indian ethos. Those 21 places were actually searched out and stuff was brought out. The nation was stirred for sure. The nation was shaken for sure. In fact, I was one among the first ones who said this is a terrifically bold move.
You thought it was great.
I thought it was great. And I actually said, I actually put Mr. Narendra Modi in the league of Morarji Desai, in the league of Indira Gandhi. I'm sure he's not going to be too thrilled to be in that league. But the point is, in that particular league. But, what it really did is, it has shaken the faith in currency. Because currency is a faith. It's a faith that every Indian reposes in whatever is in his pocket or in his wallet or wherever else.
Promissory note.
Or it's a promissory note. I promise to pay, the bearer a sum of so much rupees. Now that was shaken. And I think that's a big one because that's an image shake to India. The purpose and the intent is noble. I think it's a very noble intent. But the point is the way it was done, I think now I'm questioning that very robust, tick mark I gave it on day 1. Now, to an extent, Indians are possibly fleeing from currency. In the sense that, if somebody offers you currency, you would flee. It's a great thing for a less cash economy. It's a great thing for a cashless economy. But only 76% of Indians are on the internet as of today. I think, we moved from license Raj to bank Raj now. And Bankraj is also not appreciated by people. I know we've been given encomiums to bankers and said they've done a beautiful job, they've done all good. But hang on, guys, all of a sudden, bankers are wearing different antlers all of a sudden. The attitude to the common public is slightly different from it was days ago.
From a fight against corruption to making it a cashless society. Now, Mr. Balaji, you're with the social media cell of the BJP here in Bengaluru. There has been a lot of very negative feedback about this move, that it was unplanned, there have been flip-flops, so many changes in regulations over the last 50 days. Did it go wrong?
Thing is, it is not to say that thing has gone wrong, because at the same time, see, when government introduces something new, it is the collective effort of the people of India to take it forward. Say, for example, sir was rightly mentioning about the bankers. They did a very good job. Like, we have to appreciate them. At the same time, few in the society, like say few bankers who actually did all these illegal things that we could see from last 1 month is what has brought bad names for this bank.
Collective effort. It sounds voluntary, but the collective effort, the effort on the behalf of people who were standing in the queues, who were suffering to get money, that was not voluntary. It was not something that they wanted to do.
People have waited more than 70 years to get some revolutionary moves from the government. The earlier governments, we know, I was hearing Rahul Gandhi speaking few days on channels. He says half of them don't have accounts. Who ruled all these days? It was the Congress who ruled.
Professor K. Radhakrishna, Congress spokesperson, you're also a writer and an educationalist also. Are we moving smoothly into a cashless or low cash society? Has this worked?
I simply would laugh at the arguments put forward in defense of demonetization. I fully agree with my friend Raghuనందన్ when he analyzes that it is the political party system, structures, and the elections are the root cause of all corruption.
And there's somebody associated with the political party?
Definitely. All parties. Let us be very, very frank about it. Unless you remove corruption at that particular level, the demonetization is only a misplaced bravado. Black money is parked in the so-called real estate and jewelry and things like that.
Not in the form of
Not in the form of cash. Mr. Modi, breast beating, arm throwing, Mr. Modi perhaps would like to control his own party people. The agenda is not very sincere. We should try to understand the consumption, production, distribution cycles. Consumption is the mother of creation of wealth. Wealth is created by the private people. It is the private people. I would also consider it is an assault on my right to life. It is an assault on my privacy. It is an assault on my money. RBI is one institution we trusted. It was one of the trustworthy organizations in the entire world.
But the image has taken a bad
today
turn.
RBI, in just these 40-50 days with 60 notifications, it shows sheer thoughtlessness.
60 notifications. Dr. Shubham Singh, you're an entrepreneur, an investor. You're in the money system.
That's right.
How has it impacted you?
Now, wealth necessarily does not reside only in form of an instrument, right, which is just cash. It can be a check, it can be a debit card, it can be any form of, transaction. Now, talking from the state of economy India is now, right, while demonetization has happened thrice, right, this is the third time, 1946, 1978, and now 2016. Now, I'm talking from an entrepreneur. I have a tech company, I have a retail house, and I run an NGO. My tech company didn't take a hit because most of my money comes from, corporates, right? They are not the ones who are affected. My retail chain did, because the people who would come in, like, Harish talked about, there are women of big, industrialists who've saved money in small pockets for years together, and they like to shop. And they say, I don't have money now, I don't know what to do with it, right? So that affects. And a lot of people are not comfortable with the usage of ATM, and there's a reason to it. We have 22 national languages, 162 dialects. When you talk about a less cash economy and you talk about digital, you talk about wallets, you have to understand how many people know how to use that. How many people know how to speak English as a medium of communication. Don't just look at it as an act against corruption. If you talk about it's an act of optimizing savings to facilitate more jobs, greater income, better buying power, I am totally for it. But if it's just about saying that, okay, fine, there has been a control on narcotics supply, there has been a control on trafficking, there has been a control on corruption, it's short term.
Let's get some views from the students also who are here, lots of students.
My view is that I'm all in for the move, and initially I was skeptical about the after effects.
Okay.
But then realizing that all that they had planned earlier, for example, transforming our society into a cashless society, promoting digitalization and curbing of terror.
Other people have said that they were first for it and then they began to have their doubts. You're saying you had your doubts, but now you're for it. Any other things? Yes, ma'am?
Why would we want to go cashless? And those who wanted to do cashless have already gone cashless. They are using their debit cards and credit cards much before this order comes in. Yes, online shopping and online into the retail stores. Wherever we can, we are using the cash. Now, the problem is once we have gone on this card mode, I have a question on what happens to the information that we are generating for the market research companies. This is, I think, the largest amount of data that the world can collect is from Indian consumers. And I'm sure Harish Bijur would understand that the amount of data that you're going to collect is on what kind of goods I consume or where I consume.
Is this a nefarious motive, you think? Lack of privacy, the generating of so much data?
I will put it this way. I would not credit a nefarious motive to Mr. Modi. I think his heart was reasonably clear in terms of coming up with it. But the point you're raising is absolutely right. Because, one is privacy. The second is security. Because, security is amiss in most transactions today. One positive point that has happened in all this, it could be a negative point as well. Banks are flush with funds. Funds which were lying idle in those 22 hiding spots in those homes that we did research on, they've all come out. Now, for good or for bad, we don't know.
We know that at least 150 people have, lost their lives because of demonetization. So the usual argument is that we all have to make some sacrifices for our nation. Okay, where else we say we'll make sacrifices for our nation during war? So are we going for a war against the poor? Are we going for a war against our own citizens?
Is this a war against corruption or is it a war against the poor? We'll just head into a break now. Lots more views coming up on the other side. A war against corruption or war against the poor? Well, different opinions certainly over here. Join us again after a short break.